And welcome to Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. I'm Steve Swatt with the Sacramento Report. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about efforts at the state capitol to change California's policy regarding childhood vaccinations. My guest of the segment is Ben Allen, a member of the state Senate from Santa Monica. Thanks very much for being with us.
Happy to be here.
Talking about vaccinations, obviously the measles outbreak has prompted a lot of discussion and efforts at the state capitol. And you believe that the state of California should make it more difficult or limit the options available to individuals who want to opt out of vaccinating their children.
That's right. We've let the vaccination rates go a little too low, and now we're seeing several very dangerous outbreaks around the state and indeed around the country. And this legislation seeks to take measures to increase the vaccination levels.
And I know you're a co-author of this bill that would remove the so-called personal exemption.
Personal beliefs exemption.
Beliefs exemption.
Yeah, there are other ways that people can be exempted, but we're trying to get rid of this particular exemption.
I understand this is kind of a personal issue for you.
To some extent it is. I mean, my father had polio. He got polio right before the vaccine became widely available. Debilitating disease. My parents have childhood friends, some of whom actually were maimed or went deaf. There were actually people dying from measles before we eradicated it. In fact, even today on Earth, every day, 400 people die of measles in other countries. In addition, in my own home community, I was frustrating serving on the school board knowing that there was very little I could do as a school board member to protect the students in my own district who were actually more at risk of these kinds of diseases because we have a higher level of non-vaccination in our area. So this is my attempt to try to, working with Senator Richard Pan and Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez to try to protect public health by increasing vaccination rates.
I would imagine you're getting some considerable pushback from those in your district, and there's quite a number in your district who are very critical of these vaccinations.
There's some people pushing back. There's also a lot of people who are very supportive. We're going to make sure that we figure out ways to bring people on board as best we can. I mean, we're going to continue to give real broad discretion to doctors to give medical exemptions, for example. There's going to be some other mechanisms. So, there are certainly some concerns out there. We're going to be looking at various issues relating to vaccines, but ultimately, it is very clear that the science is clear, human history is clear, vaccines work. The concerns associated with vaccines versus the concerns associated with the diseases that they prevent the spread of, it's orders of magnitude of difference.
I want to segue briefly to another concern that has a lot of people quite concerned in California, and that is the abysmal low voter turnout, especially in Los Angeles County. And I know you chair a committee that deals with elections and
yes.
recently had a hearing dealing with this. What can be done about this? How do you get people motivated to vote when they don't want to vote?
Well, it's crazy. In California, we had, I think, 42% voter turnout in the last November elections. In LA County, it was 31%, a full 11 points lower than the statewide voter turnout. We're talking about lots of things. Vote by mail, and what more we can do to try to encourage voting by mail and encourage the counties, and particularly LA County, to do the outreach necessary to allow people to understand that there's this option. Mm-hmm. The other interesting thing that people in LA ought to know is that the LA County Registrar Recorder is looking toward a major revamp of the way we do elections. And basically, by the time we reach 2020, we're going to most likely be voting very differently. 10 days to 2 weeks of time in voting centers where you can go to the market or a library or the supermarket and vote before the election, right up to election day. And that will allow for a lot more people to access the ballot box and get to vote.
All right. Well, we're out of time for this segment. We'd like to have you back in the future and talk a little bit more about this subject, which is very interesting. Ben Allen, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. I'd love to come back on. Thank you.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. A reminder, you can see this and other interviews on YouTube, on My Government On Demand, and the California channel. I'm Steve Swatt. Have a great day.